and it couldn't be at a more appropriate moment for a more important election. So to have all eyes on Georgia is just an incredible moment that we should all be proud of. We saw a record number of people showing up to vote, and especially this year, having lost John Lewis and Dr. Lowry and C.T. Vivian, I think it's really fitting that people have taken very seriously this right to vote, and they showed up and they did it in record numbers. And I think that's something we should be proud of across the state.
And then the significance of Clayton County bringing in the votes that put the former Vice President Joe Biden on top, of course, part of that in the 5th Congressional District.
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at what's happening in Arizona, many believe that Congressman Lewis and John McCain are speaking. And I think they're speaking through all of us. We've been saying all year that our votes are our voice, and our voices have been heard, and that really is in keeping with the memory of John Lewis. So I'm grateful that Clayton County was able to bring it home.
You talked about the significance of increased voter registration and the turnout. Talk about the role that Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight has had in that effort here in Georgia and beyond.
Well, Stacey Abrams has played an important role, and there have been so many other people as well, so many other organizations whose names we don't call, who've been out registering people to vote, who've been out encouraging people to vote. And then when you look at the motor voter registration that we have in the state, ACLU filed a suit against the state. Nathan Deal, under his administration, it happened. We have registered over 800,000 new voters in the state of Georgia. Simply, these are people who have a new driver's license or have transferred their driver's license. So it really has been a combination of things and people and organizations that have gotten us to this point. And we are here, and people have taken this sacred right seriously, and the country is watching.
We're already hearing about recount conversations from the Secretary of State. We know the margins are very, very thin. Would you say no matter the final outcome, this would be considered a significant win for Democrats?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that it's even close is a significant win, and we've not reached our ceiling in terms of turnout in the state with Democrats. So as we look at the runoff and the need to make sure that Joe Biden has a Senate that supports his agenda, it is going to be even more important that people show up for the runoff and cast their votes. And it's no secret, my hope is that those votes will be cast for Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff.
I want to give you a chance, Mayor Bottoms, to respond to some of the accusations. Some have been very bold, some subtle, about problems or even fraud within the election system in Georgia, but even pointing to counties like Fulton specifically.
Well, I've not heard of any specific allegations other than what we saw at the beginning of early vote, where people weren't able to vote, or there were glitches with machines and there were long lines, all the things that we saw watching the news. I've not seen that. And at the end of the day, we have to remember we have a Republican Secretary of State who was supported by Donald Trump. Our governor obviously is an ally of Donald Trump. So to the extent that Donald Trump is making accusations of voter fraud and suppression, he needs to look in the mirror, because this is his team who's run this election in the state.
I know you were at a number of the debates. You have worked very closely with former Vice President Joe Biden. Have you had a chance to talk to him directly or anyone within the campaign as things have been developing here?
Well, I'm constantly speaking with the campaign. That's not unusual. I've not talked with the Vice President directly, but I look forward to doing that soon.
Where do you think we go from here? You mentioned that we haven't hit the ceiling. Are we starting to see what a new standard looks like? I'm thinking about State Farm Arena, the increased access, the success of early voting. Is this really a tip of an iceberg you see will continue maybe in the next decade or so to come?
Absolutely. And what happened with State Farm Arena opening, which State Farm is owned by the city of Atlanta, but operated by the Atlanta Hawks, really became a blueprint across this country. For arenas, we saw arenas opening across the country, making it easier for people to vote. There were so many lessons learned during this election. I think people really appreciated the opportunity to early vote. Many people who don't customarily early vote, many people mailed in their ballots, a record number of people. And this really is what this pandemic has shown us, that there are other ways that we will have to do things going forward. And some of them are, quite frankly, are more convenient. So this was a significant election, a lot of lessons learned, certainly even more to, we can always improve our elections across this state. Even 1 day or 2 days of challenges, 1 or 2 days too many, because many people won't have the opportunity to show back up on another day and vote.
I know we keep talking about the close margin. Are you feeling confident that we are going to maintain the position we are as a blue state when those final votes come in and things are certified?
I do. Every conversation I've had with Joe Biden over the last year, I've told him, even down to when I met with him when I was being vetted for vice president, that I believe that we could take Georgia this year. This is our year. It's going to be thin, but we've seen thin elections in our state before. My election for mayor 3 years ago, 832 votes. That's what I reminded people all week at the rally when President Obama was here, at the rally when Joe Biden was here, that this was going to be a very, very, very close election. But just remember that every vote would count. And I truly believe that Joe Biden will carry Georgia.
And last question for you. At a time where we are seeing more evidence of the division in our country that goes from our smallest cities to kind of more of a widespread view, what would your message be to everyone as we're moving forward in the days and weeks to come?
There are elections, and then you have to govern. And I've said that repeatedly as it relates to many elections. It didn't go the way that I wanted them to go, but you have to then give people an opportunity to govern. And what we know about Joe Biden is that he is someone who has worked across the aisle for many decades. And it's part of the reason I supported him. I knew that this country would need someone who could be a healer, someone who could bring us together. I had the great pleasure of chairing the DNC platform committee, where we saw people from the far left of our party work with more moderates in our party to create a platform that really reflected who we are as a party. And I know in the same way it's going to be necessary to bring people from the Republican Party and continue to work together in the way we saw Joe Biden do it so effectively in his many years in the Senate.
All right, I do have one more. I know you've been hoping for this day to see Georgia turn blue. Does it feel like you thought it would feel?
Actually, it doesn't. Not yet. I'm much more upbeat today than I was on Wednesday. Quite honestly, I felt like I had a gut punch on Wednesday because I did not expect the election to be that close, and my feelings about Donald Trump are so strong. For a moment, I just had to go, well, how could anybody possibly think that he's good for our country? But then I stepped back and I said, there are a lot of people who don't agree with everything that he says. We got to really peel back and see what did people agree with. I hope and believe the hatred and the rhetoric, that many people didn't believe in that, but some people support his economic policies. And that's something that we have to be respectful of and take it all in, and then just work to get this country where it needs to be. So I was more down on Wednesday than I thought that I should have been, but I'm really happy today.
We always appreciate the time, Mayor Bottoms. Thank you so much.
Thank you.